Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Education meeting for July 23rd, 2015. Can we start with the roll call?
Mrs. Becker.
Yes.
Mrs. Chu. Mrs. Howard.
Here.
Mrs. Lax.
Here.
Mr. McAvoy. Mr. Philipchek.
Present.
Mrs. Shaw.
Here.
Mr. Simmons.
Here.
President Cohen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices located at 760 Route 18, East Brunswick, New Jersey. Written notice was also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star Ledger, and the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick on July 7th, 2015, and July 10th, 2015. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of the executive session discussions, are videotaped for later broadcast. It is the policy of the Board of Education that videotape meetings are not edited for any purpose. Individuals who wish to speak at the Board's public meetings should be aware of these videotaping rules. We do not have a superintendent's report this evening, so we're going to open first with the good of the cause. The Board of Education does recognize the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of providing an opportunity to the public to express themselves on school-related matters of concern to the residents of East Brunswick. To allow for a fair and orderly public comment period, and in accordance with Board Policy 167, individual comments are limited to 5 minutes. Members of the public are reminded that this is a public televised meeting of the Board of Education, and to protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff, according to New Jersey Statute 10412B. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the board? Only one person here. We will then close the meeting, the open portion, and move to our action items. We only have D items this evening, which are financial items, so I'd like a motion to accept items D1 through D8.
So moved.
Mrs.
Second?
Becker, Mrs. Shaw, is there any discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Okay, I have two questions on the D2, the paid bill list. I know they've already been issued, but it mentioned a final settlement for Novell in the amount of $40,000. Can you just tell me a little bit about that?
Go ahead. Well, actually, that, and Joe, you can step in. That was the final settlement on the licensure settlement for
Okay.
Novell.
Yeah, we had an agreement to pay
In
a
two
settlement,
portions.
and it was 2 portions. It was paid over 2 fiscal years. So that's resolved now, done,
Okay.
over with.
And we're continuing with the Novell system?
We are.
Okay. And the other one was Wallace Brothers, a final payment to them. I thought we had some legal issues with them still.
Correct, but we also had a directive from the court that they be paid in full, so that was
Okay.
final settlement.
That's a
and
good
then-
reason to do
yeah.
that. All right. All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I'll take a roll call.
Mrs. Becker.
Yes.
Mrs. Howard.
Yes.
Mrs. Lax.
Yes.
Mr. Philipchek.
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Yes, with the exception of D3, purchase order 1505652, on which I abstain.
Okay. Mr. Simmons.
Yes.
President Cohen.
Yes. Is there any old business? Committee or organization reports? Good of the cause. We do have reason for closed session this evening, so I'd like to move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting, and whereas these subjects are within the exceptions of the Open Public Meetings Act and are permitted to be discussed in closed session pursuant to NJSA 10412B, whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss any matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion, or discipline of any specific prospective public officer or employee or current public officer or employee employed by or appointed by a public body, unless all individual employees or appointees whose rights could be adversely affected request in writing that such matters be discussed at a public meeting. The nature of the matter described as specifically as possible without undermining the need for confidentiality is the employees that are listed in the agenda that was provided. Whereas the length of the closed session is estimated to be approximately 120 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and immediately proceed with the business where formal action will be taken. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education will recess into closed session for only the aforesaid subjects, and be it further resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education hereby declares that its discussion of the aforesaid subjects will be made public at a time when the public's interest in disclosure is greater than any privacy or governmental interest being protected from disclosure in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
So moved.
Mrs. Becker and Mrs. Shaw, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Thank you. You too.